Chris Urban was caught during the To Catch a Predator sting of Riverside, California. He was 26 years old at the time and believed that he was talking to a 13-year-old female. Over the course of this video, I will dissect the chat log between Chris and the perverted Justice Decoy, then analyze the footage of the confrontation with Chris Hansen at the Sting House. The information that is available to us is only a small window into this person's life. I will be using this window to speculate on what may have been going on within the subconscious mechanics of how his mind works and what his life may have looked like. Before we dive in, it is important to note that Chris Urban appears to be under the influence of methamphetamine during the interview with Hansen. The police found meth in his car and a pipe on his person at the time of arrest, so I will be assuming that he was under the influence of a substance during the chat log as well, as it both started and ended only a few hours prior to making his way to the house. Straight off the bat, we have the decoy's age established. Chris informs the decoy that he is 26 and male, then asks for her age, sex, and location. The decoy tells Urban that she is 13 and he acknowledges this age. Oh my god, 13? Sorry. 26 too old, huh? Asking someone who is 13 a question like, 26 too old, huh? Raises some eyebrows immediately with me. He isn't clarifying too old for what, leaving it up to the decoy to answer in whatever way she deems appropriate. It's quite a sly move on Urban's part and indicative of what is to come throughout the chat. As you'll soon see, he becomes desperate for her to be thinking dirty thoughts, and at times expresses what I interpret as frustration when she doesn't live up to what he wants from her mind. Before I get too far ahead though, let's go back to this question. 26 too old, huh? He wants to figure out if she knows about sex, if she thinks about sex, if possibly they are on the same wavelength. Within 15 seconds of the chat log starting, he has established his predatory nature. I haven't been checking how long it's taken the other guys, but this has to be a record. The decoy responds to this question by saying that he's not old. Pay attention to the wording of the decoy's response though. 26 too old, huh? Laugh out loud. Weird smiley face? I don't really know what that is. No, not old. No? Notice how she doesn't say, no, you're not too old. Instead, she says, no, not old. This decoy is coy. She has acknowledged the sexual yet subtle tone of this question and responds even more subtly. Instead of saying that she doesn't think he's too old to be with her, she is just throwing a blanket statement down that she thinks 26 is not a very old age. It's masterful work by the decoy. Urban doesn't seem to pick up on this, or if he does, he definitely ignores it and continues with, you a virgin? Yeah. You? No way. Lost it 10 years ago. Laugh out loud. Cool. Almost a pro. Almost a pro, hey Urban. Who judges this pro status? What are the standards to being accepted into professional category? Who governs the handing out of this title? I have so many questions regarding the professional nature of his sexual prowess, and I really don't think any of them will ever be answered. All jokes aside though, when not directed at a minor, I don't think this is such a bad thing to say. I do understand that there's a lot of men in the world, and the majority of them being really decent. And I also understand that a portion of these guys may think that they're legends in the bedroom. And that's completely fine. I mean, it's not hurting anyone, and this banter between consenting and legal adults could be quite playful and flirtatious. Yet when you bring this to a child, the humor of it is completely lost amongst the sinister implications. If there is a minor who has not yet had sexual intercourse, but may be curious about doing so, then this comment could really hold some weight. The minor may be apprehensive to having sex as they've heard the first time is painful, so telling someone that they are a pro, or almost a pro, could lead the minor to believe that maybe this person could make the experience more enjoyable overall. From this point on in the log, it appears that Chris on some level is aware of this, and begins to take the wise instructor approach. After his pro status is established, this exchange occurs, where Urban begins to dip his toes into the unknown waters of this decoy's sexual curiosity. Almost a pro, lol. Lol, cool. Why, you looking to learn? Lol, maybe. Oh really? You're a bad girl, huh? Lol, maybe. Urban asks the decoy if she would be looking to learn about sexuality, to which she responds, maybe. As a side note here, I find it highly amusing how the decoys spell maybe. M-E-B-B-E. It's so very cheeky and I always read it as maybe. The cheekiness of this spelling seems to elicit the response the decoy was after, as Chris takes the bait and asks, "You're a bad girl, huh?" Everyone's interpretation of what a bad girl is will differ. The way I view this idea of a woman, though, is a female who is willing to go against the grain of society. Someone who understands the rights and the wrongs of the world, and who often chooses the wrong because it's entertaining to her. A woman that is highly opinionated, adventurous, and explosive in both her ability to have fun and find danger. A female who may not be as concerned with the social confines of what people class as normal. For example, someone who may want to have many sexual partners and explore her promiscuous side. In today's day, this behavior of a woman exploring her sexuality is something that is becoming much more and more common, which in my opinion is how it should be, as I believe every human should have the right to explore every element that comes together to make them who they are, be it sexuality, creativity, humor, or even silence. As long as it's within morally right and legal constructs, a human, regardless of age, gender, or background, should be given the dignity to discover who they are, free of judgment from others. But in the early 2000s, when this was filmed, the world was in a different place, and the idea of a bad girl who explores her sexuality would have been much less acceptable, making women who lived with these standards less likely to meet. I believe Chris is focused on this sexual element of the bad girl image, and I also think he's addicted to watching porn, something that we will explore later in the chat in more detail. I'm pretty sure that he would like to find someone who fits this sexual bill. This decoy is humoring his sexual appetite, and his mind is starting to fill in the blanks of what he wants the decoy to be for him. As the decoys so often do, they provide an empty canvas of a person with only the slightest glimmer of a personality being an interest in sex, and the predator is left to project an image of what he wants upon her. We can see Chris filling in the blanks here with the image of a bad girl. As we move on with the chat, the two discover that they live very close to each other. This appears to excite Chris, eliciting a range of smiley text from him. Nothing really of importance here, yet kind of amusing to try and interpret. "I can't believe what I just read. I'm not too sure what to think, but I'm feeling quite good. Actually, now I'm feeling quite silly." I'm really not up to date with current emoji lingo, let alone smileys from the early 2000s. I hope I got that right. This next excerpt from the log is in reference to them living close by to each other. "I'm close. Sure are. What you thinking? Being bored? Laugh out loud, you? About being close. What you thinking? Same here. Laugh out loud, cool. You really want to? Want to what? Be close. How close? Lol, I don't know. You? As close as you want." The decoy says that she is close, meaning that she lives close by. Urban takes the word close and asks for clarity on what she means. The decoy recognizes this sexual tone and plays into it. In this particular instance, if you were to ask me who the predator is here, I would definitely say the decoy. She takes his question that asks what she thinks about being close and spins it around by saying, "You really want to?" Indicating that all possible meaning that they could be referring to locations and where they live has now gone out the window. She is talking about intimacy without actually saying anything sexual at all. Perverted justice decoys are criticized for this sort of behavior. I applaud it though. It's masterful work. Teens are learning about their bodies. They're interested in what sex may be, and it is very possible that a young girl or guy could respond like this towards someone who seems cool, relatable, and knowledgeable about sex. It is the adult's job to recognize this behavior and not take advantage of it for their own perverted needs. She asks him, "You really want to?" And Chris says, "Want to what?" And the decoy says, "Be close." Urban, treading lightly now, wants to know exactly how close are we talking here, and he quickly responds by saying, he'll be as close with her as she wants. He has now been caught in the maws of a much bigger predator than he. A little further down, we have some recognition that Chris is aware what he is doing is wrong. It is quite possible that one could claim the defense that he was under the influence of a substance which caused him to pursue this child. It would appear though that even if his brain were an overdriven methamphetamine-soaked mess, he is still able on some level to recognize that his actions are wrong. "I could get into trouble, girl." Lol, whatever. "You won't tell, huh?" This next part has me rather confused. I'll read it out in its entirety and then try to break it down and pinpoint just where that confusion lies. You want to see me on cam? Maybe. Why? I invited you. Wonder if you want to see what you can touch if you want. Lol, I ain't doing that unless I'm with a guy. With a guy? You mean if we meet? Lol, duh. Well, what if we wanted to play? Play what? Laugh out loud. Okay, never mind. With each other. Cool. What would happen if there were two of us? What you want to do? That's up to you completely. No, it's up to you too. What you want to do? You tell me. Nope, you're the amateur. Laugh out loud, laugh out loud. You tell me. Want to get naked with me? Yeah. So what about the other guy? What other guy? You said would only meet if you brought guy? Or I misunderstand. No, I didn't. As I said, this conversation really doesn't have the best flow, and I want to take a look why. Urban starts out by asking if she wants to see him on camera. I can only assume that he wants to expose himself to the child. When she asks him why does he want to jump on the camera, we are delivered this brilliant line. Wonder if you want to see what you can touch if you want. Translation, I'm wondering if you'd like to have a look at my penis to get an idea of what it is that you can touch when we meet up. If that's something that you want, of course. The decoy says that she ain't doing that unless she's with a guy. And before I break this little part down, pay attention to the fact that she says the word guy, as this will come back in a strange way in just a moment. This statement that she just said could mean one of two things. She's either saying that she doesn't want to see him on camera or commit to touching him unless they are together as boyfriend and girlfriend, or she could be saying that she doesn't really want to see it as it doesn't interest her. She is more interested in him physically being in front of her before she'll want to engage with this sort of sexual dialogue. Chris does seem to have similar questions to me, not really understanding what she means by this statement, as he asks, with a guy? You mean if we meet? The decoy says, duh, as if to say, yeah, of course that's what I mean. I want you to come over. Urban then goes on to say, well, what if we wanted to play? Using fun and enticing language to mask the reality of what this experience could be for her. When the decoy asks him, play what? It seems as though her lack of understanding surrounding the sexual nature of his implications annoys him. He states, okay, never mind. It could just be my experiences with this phrase, but generally an okay, never mind is said in a curt manner, usually when annoyed. After he says this, he leaves the chat silent for a bit. It doesn't take long though for his sexual desire to take control. He waits 25 seconds to see if she will respond. Likely this was a very long 25 seconds for him, because not only has the decoy up to this point generally responded within seconds of his messages, but I'm assuming he's also amped up from methamphetamine use. He loses this game of dialogue chicken and is the one who breaks the silence, clarifying that he wanted them to play with each other. Now we come to the part where I feel like I'm missing something. Some crucial piece to the puzzle that could make this specific moment in the conversation make much more sense. He says, what would happen if there were two of us? I'm unsure what he means by this, and where exactly this thought came from. Initially, I did read this as him saying in a roundabout way, what would happen if we were in the room together? But as you'll see a little further down, that is probably not what he means. It appears that he may be thinking of bringing a buddy along to this meeting. Urban says, so what about the other guy? When asked about what other guy, he throws it back onto the decoy, saying that he thought she would only meet if he brought a guy. Did he really just read her early message where she said, I ain't doing that unless I'm with a guy, and interpret that as she isn't interested in touching his penis unless there's another guy in the room? Did he really just think that a 13-year-old virgin, whose name he has not yet learned, just told him that she would only touch him if there is another male present in the room? This is a lot to try and comprehend. Earlier in the log, we saw him take the word close and alter the context of the situation to go from, we live close by, to let's be intimate with each other. And now we're witnessing him take the word guy and change it to mean that this girl wants multiple partners at once. A pattern is starting to emerge where it appears Urban is more so having a conversation with himself rather than with another person. There is a dialogue playing out in his mind, and he's using the decoy's words as cues to prompt his belief that his sexual fantasy could actually become a reality. I am refraining from blaming a lot of this behavior on substance abuse, but I'm really having trouble holding back from it on this one. I've had a few friends go down the path of methamphetamine use over the years, and this is a behavior I've witnessed in each and every one of them. Not sexual deviancy, but inner monologues that are the be-all and end-all for them. Whatever it is that they are thinking in any given moment is their reality, and they will try to control, direct, manipulate, and steer each conversation to align with their inner thoughts. In addition to that, does he actually have any friends that would go along with this plan? How does one bring that up with a friend? Hey man, I met this really cool, really mature 13-year-old girl who I'd love to sleep with, but she will only do it if there's another man present. I know I'm letting my thoughts drift from the chat log here, as Urban has not actually expressed that he has any friends that would be interested in this experience. And I'm absolutely not implying that friends and acquaintances of Urban are sexual delinquents by proxy. It's just a strange thought that came up when I started thinking about what it is he's actually saying. This chat log is so very loaded. I've barely made it beyond the first 2 pages, and there's still around 6 to go. Come on, Urban. Keep the rest of your chat chill so that we can all get to your interview. So, you would want to meet her? If you do. Can't say. Then bye. I would if you wanna. You down? I am. I would strip for you. He couldn't do it. He just couldn't keep it chill. I'd do anything you want. If you are, yeah. Yeah. For real? Yeah. Can you? Yeah. You're making me horny. When a person is having a conversation with themselves, much like this one, I tend to find it rather troubling when people say things like, "You're making me horny." The decoy is not making Chris horny at all. He is making himself horny. Up to this point, the decoy has said barely anything that has any sexual tone to it. So he's projecting an idea onto this young child. An idea that she is a sexually adventurous young girl, a bad girl that he can show the ropes. This is what is making him horny. His own twisted mind that is feeding itself broken ideas that are appealing to the darker elements of his male psyche. As the chat progresses, there's more predator chatter. Talk of getting naked together and how serious Chris is about this meeting. The decoy lets Chris know that she'll be home alone for a bit as her family is out of town, and Urban jokingly asks if she will answer the door naked when he arrives. The old truth disguised as a joke to deflect any negative attention if the awful intent of the request is ever questioned. I will ask you to prepare yourself now, as a large portion of this chat coming up turns very explicit. As Chris Hansen likes to explain it, Urban will describe what he wants to do to the child in graphic detail. To spare you from the full brunt of these words, I'll just read some of the highlights. What you want to do when you get here? Thought you meant you'd be in your room naked for me. Lol, you want me to? If you would like that, yes. Would that turn you on? If you want me to. Yeah, if you wanted me to. Would it turn you on? If it turn you on. What makes you horny? You tell me first. Yes, anything we do to each other naked makes me horny. Well, what you want to learn about? What you good at teaching? Everything to do with sex. Cool. Like what? Ever been eaten? No. Best at that? Cool. You ever sucked? Yeah. You have? Yeah, lol, duh. Bad girl. Did you make him come? Lol, yeah, lol. You did, huh? Where did he come? On the floor? You didn't let him come in your mouth? No. You will be coming. Would you let me come in your mouth or no? If you want me to. Yes. Don't take my cock out of your mouth till I'm done coming. K, I won't. Really? Would you swallow too? If you want me to. Alright, let's take a much needed break there, hey? There's quite a lot to unpack here. We have a man who is clearly lost in his own fantasies. For someone to strike up a conversation with a person who identifies as a minor, and then to say the things that he just said within 30 minutes of talking, without even knowing her name, is highly alarming. For starters, I can't help but to assume this man is a porn addict. A common thing seen in porn addiction is the individual's desire being elevated to the point where rational thought is eliminated. The person becomes so obsessed with their sexual desires that they are willing to throw away things that could be otherwise important to them, be it a relationship, a career, or even their own morals and values. Everything is on the chopping block. The words that are indicative to porn addiction here is his desire to making her swallow his bodily fluids. Imagine if you had just met someone of legal age, and within 30 minutes you're telling them these things. It's a rather confronting thing to say at the best of times, especially if they haven't already expressed deep sexual desires that match yours. Now apply that same thought to the situation Urban is in. He is talking to a minor, someone who likely hasn't watched pornography before, who's never encountered this sort of sexual energy, someone who may have no understanding of just how intense male sexuality can be. Do you really think she knows exactly what it is she's signing up for by agreeing to swallow with him? Take a moment to think about this. I know it's really not pleasant, but do take a brief moment to think about this young female sitting alone in the house, having not lost her virginity and having limited sexual experiences with boys her age. Then all of a sudden, this porn-addicted, meth-fueled man enters her space and forcefully pushes himself into a position where this swallowing would happen. Oral sex is a selfless act. The pleasure derived from the person performing it usually stems from the knowledge and feeling that the person they are with is experiencing a certain degree of satisfaction. I would argue that for one to fully begin to understand what this act is, thus allowing them to derive pleasure from it, would take some time of sexual development and experience, and/or to be so comfortable with their partner that they can enjoy the satisfaction that they are providing to this person that they cherish. This fictional young decoy has neither experience with sex nor comfort with Urban, so one can only imagine if the situation were real and were to play out how Urban wants, the young child would be faced with an insanely confronting moment of, what the hell is going on? I want this to stop. If you're following what I'm saying, then congratulations, you are one of the good guys, one of the people that understands how damaging a sexual act can be to a child. You probably also understand why the law says this is illegal, and why we hate the people that choose to partake in this degenerate behavior. There is very good reason for why these people are hated. Children are our future, beautiful and innocent, and they are to be cared for, nurtured, looked out for and protected, not taken advantage of to be used as some sexual object for some sick and twisted adult brain. Urban can't see this. He can't see why his desires are considered foul by all meanings of the word. All he can see is a person who may be willing to satisfy his deep and dirty desires for a night. The porn addiction, in conjunction with his meth use, really brings together the most awful storm for a human to sink to the depths of scumbaggery. And sink he did. A trait that I cannot stand amongst some people is an inability to keep their addiction from harming others. Drug addicts that steal from their families, compulsive liars that cheat their way to promotion, con artists who swindle the elderly, and worst of all, porn-obsessed idiots who are willing to trample over the youth of our world. Young human lives that are just beginning their journey here, some that may have already had a rocky start to life, thus leading them to this position where they are vulnerable. And then someone like Urban comes along and dumps his crap onto this child, a child who may already have a ton of crap already on them. It's disgusting. Anyway, I am getting slightly heated on this one, so it's probably best for us all if I just move on to the next section of the log. The chat moves along and Urban has a moment where he doesn't want the child to become attached to him, telling her that he doesn't want a girlfriend and he'd like this to be a one-time or a now-and-then thing. The decoy agrees that she is not looking for a relationship either, and then it happens. After all of that sexual dialogue, and then the agreement that no relationship will come of this, their names are finally exchanged. That has got to be an intro for the ages. The next part of the log is pretty uneventful. We have our average sexual predator chatter, which leads into another game of dialogue chicken, a back and forth that eventually results in Urban's frustration, as the decoy will not give him an inch. What you want to see? Anything? Nothing? Any. I don't know how to show anything. What's anything? Laugh out loud? Anything you want to show? I want to show everything. So you tell me. No, you. Me what? You tell me what you want to show. Everything. Cool. Now or when you get here? I don't care, so tell me or I'll show you the wall. Both. Cool. What you like to see? Whatever you want to show me. Why you being weird? Just effing tell me, I said. I'll show whatever you want to see. You keep telling me it's up to me. Why? 'Cause it is. Laugh out loud. No, it's up to you. You're the one who wants to learn, right? If you want to teach, yeah, I do. Why would I ask if I didn't wanna? It's quite a common thing that I've seen in males to want their partners to be as sexually adventurous as they are. It's only natural for humans to want the people that they share experiences with to mirror the feelings that they have for that specific event. Be it travel, a hobby, a movie, or a sexual experience, people choose to partake in these activities for leisure, and it is nice to know that whoever chooses to share this with us feels excited about it as well. It's a fundamental part of being a human. We are social creatures that for the most part want to feel understood. When we share a moment with another and we see our own experience reflected back at us through this person's eyes, it's truly a magical feeling. With that in mind, the male sex drive can be a powerful thing, which makes it understandable why some men want to find sexual partners that hold sex in a high regard as they do. Again, there is nothing wrong with this, but when porn addiction is thrown into the mix, this natural drive for sex becomes unnaturally tainted. Porn does not accurately depict what sex is, and can poison a person's mind if consumed in high quantities. It will lead that person to believe that sex is a one-way, male-focused activity. This is what we see in Urban. His mind, fueled by the meth, is desperate for this person that he wishes to sleep with to have the same desires that he does. He wants to know all about the filthy things that her mind craves, as his mind craves some very filthy things as well. I cannot say if Urban is like this when he is sober, but it is pretty common for meth users to become completely self-obsessed. Whatever the answer is, this current line of conversation that we're looking at is highly unnerving to me as it's being directed towards a potential minor. The chat log is coming to a close, but we do have a few more moments of interest. After some more average predatory chatter where he fantasizes about what she may be wearing, hoping that she's only wearing a t-shirt and no underwear, he exposes himself on camera numerous times, and they also share a phone call where he expresses that she sounds hot. Right when I thought that the worst was behind us, this happens. You want to get really dirty? Yeah. How bad? Would you ever have two guys all over you? Yeah, that'd be cool. Would it? Yeah. What would you do with two? Anything really. You gonna bring condoms though, right? Wanna suck one as you are effed? Cool. Yes. Wanna bring beer too? I can, or hard to take shots. Shots are cool. You ever watch porn? No? You wanna bring some? Sure. I have mostly group sex porn. Cool. That cool. Like group sex? I guess, yeah. You guess? Yeah. Like idea of two couples effing in the same room, then trading partners? Cool. I don't think I really need to dive into any of this, as my thoughts on this have been thoroughly explored in the earlier section. You may be thinking though that it seems pretty pointless to highlight this section if I'm not going to break it down, right? Well, yes and no. I'm not going to break it down, but I also figured that I had to read these awful words, so you might as well hear them too. We're all in this together, right? For the next few pages, the chat log drags on. The decoy has asked him to come round, and they've established that she is home alone, so that he can come whenever, but it appears that he is very distracted. I can only imagine that as he is about to leave, he has another hit of meth for the road, and it's sent him into quite the manic state. This is what he says instead of taking his exit. Wanna see me on cam? Can't we wait till you get here? Okay, I got a phone now too. You know, want a sneak peek? I'm watching porn now. You want to kiss and go at it as soon as I get there? Just asking. I'm walking out of here in 3 minutes. I'm about to walk out. Please tell me. I'm not really sure what Urban wants her to tell him. That she wants to kiss and go at it as soon as he gets there? I have no idea what's going on in his mind at this point. I'm walking out in 3 minutes or less and 20 drive. Kay, I gotta go clean now. You will kiss me when I get there, huh? Yeah, I will. You gotta make first move, okay? Bye. I will, okay, bye. I'll see you soon. Oh, I gotta get condoms, leave in 5, and porn, laugh out loud. Cool. And beer, right? Bye, naughty girl. Bye, can't wait. What kind of beer? Any. You wanna drink it? Yeah. Okay, hurry and leave so I can see you. What an exit, hey? I can feel the manic energy emanating from every word that he writes. He's meant to be leaving, but instead he's watching porn, asking her last-minute questions that really don't serve any purpose other than to satisfy his broken mind for that brief moment. Writing out every little thought that he has, running the decoy through what he needs to obtain rather than just obtaining those things. This guy is an absolute mess, and without further ado, let's move over to the Sting house and run his interview.
Just stand up and hit your counter for a second, okay?
What's that?
Just stand up and hit your counter for a second.
Alright. I'm gonna wash my hands, alright?
Paper towels right over here. Would you have a seat right over on the stool there, please? Oh, who are you?
Chris.
Chris.
Yeah.
And who did you come to see, Chris?
What's your name?
What's her name?
I'm sorry. Oh, you caught me off guard.
Hansen really did catch him off guard, and this is apparent as Urban's body goes into autopilot mode, following Chris's commands without question as his mind tries to piece it all together. It's easy to overlook due to how subtle it is, but Hansen's casual approach would be highly unnerving for Urban. Urban is essentially an intruder in this house, someone who is not supposed to be there, and he knows it. One would expect if they were to intrude into a house and an adult were to be home, the adult would immediately freak out and ask things like, "Who the hell are you and what are you doing in my house?" Hansen doesn't react like this though. He instead casually hands Urban a paper towel, essentially treating him like a guest. The confusion this would cause would be crushing, and that is apparent as Urban's manic mind begins to sort through each possibility. Is this her father, brother, uncle, a police officer? Who could they be, and why are they not freaking out? Urban seems to be a pretty animated person, as we'll see later on, yet in this moment he can barely utter a word. I'll play 2 clips side by side, and watch the difference in his demeanor from now, whilst he is stunned, against later on where he has regained some semblance of control.
Oh, who are you?
I'm Chris.
Chris.
Yeah. I'm really like a conscious person. I mean, look at me. I'm so dirty, like.
And who did you come to see, Chris?
What's your name? I brought this, but this is really watered down. You can even test it. That's way watered down.
Way watered down.
Way watered down.
What's her name?
I'm sorry. Oh, you caught me off guard.
You came to see Kelly.
Yeah.
And how old is Kelly?
Kelly's way too young for me.
Way too young for you.
Yeah.
Then why did you come here, Chris?
I came here to tell her that, actually.
To tell her that she was way too young?
Actually, I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I swear on my life.
So you drove all the way from where?
I drove from Rancho because I was tempted at first, and then I was thinking on the way down here, I was like, you know what? I can't really do this. I don't feel right in my conscience. Like, I'm a conscience type person.
Yeah, I could tell
And
you're a conscious type person by
I'm
your
very,
by
very,
your
very
chat here.
conscious. Yeah, like, and then I was gonna come here and tell her, you know, I don't want to do anything. I didn't bring any condoms or anything.
You did not?
No, you know, so.
I mean, you can take them out of your pocket now.
Urban has shaken off the paralysis from Hansen's entrance and is now in full-scale defense mode. He has no idea who Hansen is, as To Catch a Predator is not popular at this point in time. He also has no idea that Hansen has read the chat logs, and likely assumes that he is a disgruntled father, so the lies begin to spew out. Let's recap over them.
And how old is Kelly?
Kelly's way too young for me.
Way too young for you.
Yeah.
Then why did you come here, Chris?
I came here to tell her that, actually.
To tell her that she was way too young?
Actually, I did, yeah.
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 Look at the conviction in Urban's eye contact as he delivers this lie. He is saying that he drove over here to tell Kelly that she's way too young for him. If this were a different scenario and it wasn't so blatantly obvious that he is lying, this delivery could be rather convincing. Imagine he had just run over someone's pet dog as he was driving, killing it instantly, and knowing whose house the dog belongs to, he delivers the body back to its owners. When they ask him, "Did you find her like this?" he says,
Actually, I did, yeah.
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 although it's difficult to see due to the ridiculous nature of this current lie, Under the right circumstances, I think Urban would handle lying far better than some of the other men that I've looked at during these stings.
I swear on my life.
So you drove all the way from where?
I drove from Rancho because I was tempted at first, and then I was thinking on the way down here, I was like, you know what? I can't really do this. I don't feel right in my conscience. Like, I'm a conscience type person.
Who does he think he's talking to at this point? He says I was tempted to do this, but then decided against it? Tempted to do what, Urban? You haven't been accused of anything yet. You don't even know who this man is that you speak to. All he is doing with this lie is exposing his intentions and making his argument significantly weaker. Oh, and before we move on, did he say that he's a conscience type person? It wouldn't feel right on his conscience? I know he's probably flustered right now and saying the first words to pop into his mind, but that's a pretty decent blunder. I can't say I've ever heard anyone describe themselves as a conscience type person. Usually people will say things like they have a heart, or it would play on their mind too much to go ahead with it. The more I think about it though, it is a nice way to summarize all of that. Who needs to give someone a long-winded explanation of how they would be unable to go ahead with some act due to the guilt and anxiety manifestation that comes with performing said act? Instead, just say, I can't do it. I'm a conscience type person. I like it. It appears that this little saying has amused Hansen as well, as he does poke a little fun at it.
I can't really do this. I don't feel right in my conscience. Like, I'm a conscience type person.
Yeah, I could tell you're a conscious type person by
I'm
your
very
chat
conscious. Yeah, like, and then I was gonna come here and tell her, I don't want to do anything. I didn't bring any condoms or anything.
You did not?
No, so.
I mean, you can take them out of your pocket now.
I brought this, but this is really watered down. You can even test it. That's way watered down.
Way watered down.
Watered down.
What is that?
It's a 151, but it was this much left, and I put a bunch of water in it. So.
You did?
Yeah, dude.
And that was why'd you do that?
Because I didn't want to. I wanted to leave it here when I left and just say, here, you can have this, and that's.
So
that's
you were
all
going to
can
come
have.
over here and say, look, do me a favor though, and just keep your hands out of your pockets, unless
Oh,
you're
no,
getting your condoms out of there.
That's fine.
Yeah, just get what you're getting and put them right on the counter.
Yeah, there's one, but it's no good.
It's
I
not
always
good.
carry it with me. It was always in my wallet, and I took it out of my wallet when I was in my car, and yeah.
Let's take it back a step.
I brought this, but this is really watered down. You can even test it. That's way watered down.
Way watered down.
For starters, where was he hiding this thing? It comes out of absolutely nowhere.
This is really watered down. You can even test it.
Listen to the struggle as Urban unsheaths it from wherever it was being stored.
You can even test it.
He immediately then tells Chris that it's way watered down and that Hansen can even test it. In what world would someone think that this is a legitimate line of defense? Hey, I brought some hard liquor to visit a 13-year-old child, but it's way watered down. So much so that you can test it. And how does he expect Hansen to test it? I'm assuming he thinks he'll take a swig, swish it around his mouth a little and say, oh, you're right. That is way watered down. You surely have good intentions. This is also the first moment in the interview where that meth use starts to really play a key role in Urban's behavior. Watch as he fidgets and plays with his hat as he talks, and he looks almost not present for this moment. I'm not going to deliver a lesson on what methamphetamine use looks like, but for anyone who may not be familiar, some of the basic signs that someone has been using it are rapid-fire talking, erratically moving through their thoughts, and the general inability to sit still, all of which we do see here with Urban.
That's way watered down.
Way watered down.
Way watered down.
What is that?
It's a 151, but it was this much left, and I put a bunch of water in it. So.
You did?
Yeah, dude.
And that was why'd you do that?
Because I didn't want to. I wanted to leave it here when I left and just say, here, you can have this, and that's.
So
That's
you were
about all
going
you
to
can
come
have.
over here and say, look, do me a favor though, and just keep your hands out of your pockets, unless
Oh,
you're
no,
getting your condoms out of there.
That's fine.
Yeah, just get what you're getting and put them right on the counter.
Yeah, there's one, but it's no good.
So he did bring a condom, albeit a no good condom.
It's
I
not
always
good.
carry it with me. It was always in my wallet, and I took it out of my wallet when I was in my car, and yeah. No, I have nothing to. I honestly was gonna come here and tell her I didn't want to do anything,
Right.
and tell her, you know what, you're extremely young for this.
Right.
You know.
So
I
you were
said-
going to come here and tell 13-year-old Kelly that you didn't want to
Yeah.
do anything with her,
I
but
really
here's some Bacardi rum and
was
a
actually
condom
gonna-
and
I was
all
actu-
kind of. Did
honestly-
you transmit this photograph?
Oh my. I didn't know I sent that one.
You didn't know.
Well, actually, yeah, I did, but wow. I wasn't thinking of.
To a 13-year-old girl.
I'm sorry. You're right. I know. I wasn't thinking. Look at me. I didn't even take a shower. If I was coming to do something like that, I would have taken a shower. You know. I mean, that's the first thing you do.
How old are you?
You know, I'm 26 years old, sir.
26 years old.
And I
So
really-
you are
I really
twice
felt
the
bad.
age
I
of the
know,
girl you
I
thought you
know.
were going to come see.
Like, I really feel bad, dude. Like, I mean, I don't even know how to tell you how I feel bad.
This entire section is ridiculous. It appears as though Urban is starting to feel a little more comfortable with his position in this situation. Hansen has delivered photos from the chat log just in time and shuts down Urban's streak of confidence.
So you were going to come here and tell 13-year-old Kelly that you didn't want to do anything with her, but
really
here's some Bacardi rum and
was
a
actually
condom
gonna-
and
I was
all
actually-
kind of. Did you
honestly-
transmit this photograph?
The photos floor Urban. He stopped in his tracks. For the first time since Hansen entered the room, Urban falls silent as he reviews the photo and begins to formulate a new line of defense.
Oh my. I didn't know I sent that one.
You didn't know.
Well, actually, yeah, I did, but wow. I wasn't thinking of.
To a 13-year-old girl.
I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. I know. I wasn't thinking. Look at me. I didn't even take a shower. If I was coming to do something like that, I would have taken a shower.
And here we have it. Likely one of the things that Mr. Urban is more famous for, the highly creative, I haven't even showered defense.
You know?
The look that Hansen is giving him says it all. Almost all of Urban's defenses result in him looking pretty bad. The watered down rum, the no good condom, and now the filthy body. He has managed to paint quite the bad image of himself with these excuses. A side thought on this one. In the past, when old Dave here has ventured into the dating world, not having a shower is not even an option. It's a bit of an anxiety-inducing situation meeting up with someone for the first time, and I'm fully aware that first impressions matter. Showering for me feels pretty essential because I'd hate to come across like a dirty mess. The watered down rum is a good idea though. Might bring that to my next first date and really impress some lucky lady. All jokes aside, I can't see how this guy had time to masturbate and watch porn before leaving, but didn't have a shower. He clearly was going to sleep with the child, which already pins him into the category of disgusting human, but not having a shower beforehand makes it so much worse. Such a lack of care or respect for the person that he plans to share intimate space with.
You know? I mean, that's the first thing you do.
How old are you?
You know, I'm 26 years old, sir.
26 years old.
And I
So
really-
you are
I really
twice
felt
the
bad.
age
I
of the
know,
girl you
I
thought you
know.
were going to come see.
Like, I really feel bad, dude. Like, I mean, I don't even know how to tell you how I feel bad. Now, I was worried, like...
So now you
like,
go on and do this.
I'm sorry. You know, because I was desperate sitting at home, I did. And it's not right to do. You're right. They should have, like, control things on those chat rooms.
Would you
And
answer the door naked?
I really wasn't even going to come down here.
Yeah, but you
And-
did.
And when I did, because I didn't want to hurt somebody's feelings. I didn't want somebody to be absolutely hurt, okay? And sit there and go, oh my gosh, you didn't show up. You know, and I'm really like a conscious person. I mean, look at me. I'm so dirty, like...
I know.
I
Well, I
wouldn't-
tell you what's dirty
I
is this
wouldn't-
conversation
You know what?
had.
Yeah, I know.
Another iconic Hansen line. I will get to that in just a moment. But in the last minute or so, whilst being faced with an ever-growing mound of incriminating evidence, Urban has his back to the wall and is throwing everything he has at Hansen. The I didn't want her to feel bad. I am a conscious person. He is visibly tormented as he speaks, desperately trying to gain eye contact with Hansen, to not only plead his case as he would feel that the eye contact would make him appear more sincere, but also to get a read on Hansen and where he is at. Hansen hasn't sympathized with Urban at all, but he hasn't exactly acted in an aggressive manner either, which would leave Urban stuck in this limbo-like state where he feels that he may still be able to win this man over. He may still be able to get Hansen to see his innocence, despite how dire the situation looks.
You know? I mean, that's the first thing you do.
How old are you?
You know, I'm 26 years old, sir.
26 years old.
And I
So
really-
you are
I really
twice
felt
the
bad.
age
I
of the
know,
girl you
I
thought you
know.
were going to come see.
Like, I really feel bad, dude. Like, I mean, I don't even know how to tell you how I feel bad. Now, I was worried, like...
So now you
like,
go on and do this.
I'm sorry. You know, because I was desperate sitting at home, I did. And it's not right to do. You're right. They should have, like, control things on those chat rooms.
Would you
And
answer the door naked?
I really wasn't even going to come down here.
Yeah, but you
And-
did.
And when I did, because I didn't want to hurt somebody's feelings. I didn't want somebody to be absolutely hurt, okay? And sit there and go, oh my gosh, you didn't show up. You know, and I'm really like a conscious person. I mean, look at me. I'm so dirty, like...
I know.
I
Well, I
wouldn't-
tell you what's dirty
I
is this
wouldn't-
conversation
You know what?
had.
Yeah, I know.
Hansen's ability to improvise using the Predator's own words is nothing short of legendary. He not only shows the predator that he doesn't believe a word of the lies coming at him, but he does so in a way that makes it impossible for them to refute, all while keeping it entertaining for the viewer. It's these moments here that allow this program to transition from a dark and grim crime show to an entertaining and at times humorous look at a ridiculous situation. Hansen was truly worth whatever they paid him and more. I can't help but to picture him, having delivered this line, to have a little internal smile.
Oh, I tell you what's dirty is this conversation
You know what?
had.
Yeah, I know. I really should not have done this. And I felt absolutely...
Just don't take my blank out of your mouth till I'm done.
I know. I was not fantasizing about a 13-year-old, for God's sake. You know, that's not right to do.
Would you ever have two guys all over you?
It's just, like I said, fantasy type
What
things
would you
over-
do with two?
Yeah, it's just wanted to hear. And
Now, do you know that it's illegal?
I figured it had the parent... No, I didn't know that it was illegal.
Illegal to send this kind of material?
I did not know that. I
to
really didn't.
somebody who you believe is underage?
I did not know that.
That's against the
Oh
law.
my God.
Here's what you need to know, Chris, and that is that I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC, and we're doing a story on people who go. Well, you're welcome to leave and take your stuff with you. But if there's anything else you'd like to say, please tell us. No. If not,
reality sinks in for Urban. The explaining and lying immediately stops as fight or flight kicks in. He's gone into self-preservation mode. This is not your everyday conversation with an unhappy father. This is far worse than he could have ever imagined. As the cameras come round the corner, his shambled life would feel as though it's collapsing beneath him. He knows that he's currently on probation, and he also knows that he has drugs on him. He's been informed that this conversation he had was illegal, and with the cameras present, this information could go public. The sheer amount of pressure in this moment would be that of the gravitational pull of the moon, and it hasn't even begun yet, as the police are waiting outside for him to conclude this interview.
Turn around and put your hands behind your back.
Please don't do this, please, because I really wasn't going to do this.
Go ahead and cuff him.
Sir.
What?
Like, please.
Do you have anything illegal on you?
No,
Do you have any drugs or anything like that? When's the last time you used speed?
I used it like 2 months ago, sir.
Is it 2 months ago usually means 2 days or 2 hours?
I am on probation for it.
What are you on probation for?
For possession in July, and that's the last time I used it. It's been a few months.
For possession of meth?
Yes. Yeah, I did use an hour ago. Yeah. No, I'm not trying to get rid of it, sir. I really am not. Which pocket?
Oh, look at that.
I know it's only because I have to sign up for a class. I hadn't used it since I had gotten in trouble with it back in July. And I was
Reality sets in, dude.
Look, yes, reality sets in right when I stepped out my front door.
You're right.
It did.
Yeah, it did.
And
you're exactly right. That's where the crime occurred.
No.
The minute you stepped out your front door,
And the only-
you were headed toward having to meet with a 13-year-old girl to have sex.
And the only-
This would normally be where I end the video, but there is a little more to Urban's story that I feel is relevant to include. Years after Urban was released from prison, it appears that he managed to get his life somewhat on track, kicking his drug habits and getting a decent job with his family's business. Someone from the TCAP community obtained his number from a trade fair, and this exchange occurred between the two. "Hi, have I reached Chris?" "Yes sir, who's this?" "You don't know me, I'll keep this brief. My name's Holden. Without discussing any of it, I just want to say I'm so glad to have seen that you're in a good place these days. Not many people who have been in your position at one point can even say they have a paying job. I recognized your name at a trade fair in Pasadena and took your number down, but I didn't know if I'd ever send this message. Keep the good fight, brother." "Do I know you?" "Thank you. You know, life is all about getting back up no matter what. People make god-awful mistakes, and even sometimes others get a hold of it and use it in ways to make examples. But the key is, if you're knocked down, get back up stronger. Only God can judge me." "No, you don't know me at all. Just someone who empathizes with you." "Well, we each create our own destiny, and never should media be in control of the people. Look at what they are doing today. It's a shame how real people think TV is. If you're in my position, all I can say is everything happens for a reason. We just don't always learn why. I bet I'd be dead if it weren't for my misfortune. That's how I see it." As I say at the start of my videos, this is only a small window into these men's life, and I do not pretend to know who they are or what they are like. I'm also not going to claim that I think Urban is a perfectly reformed angel. The part that I would like to focus on in his message is where he says that he bets he'd be dead if it weren't for the program. Often these videos are pretty grim, and although we can find humor amongst the overarching vibe of negativity, there is no direct winner in these situations that are depicted. Most of these men go on to lead isolated and depressingly difficult lives, in and out of prison, trouble finding housing, and a lifetime of ridicule. And I'm not going to argue whether this is deserved or not. It is up to each individual to decide how they feel about the fates of these men. What I do want to do though is highlight a person who may have possibly broken that mold. If what is being said is true, then Chris would have died from his drug use, and if not dead, he'd be in a pretty bad state. The To Catch a Predator program possibly prevented that reality from happening. Some of you may say that he deserved to die, and the world would be a better place without him, and you are absolutely entitled to hold that opinion. I am not going to try sway that thought. Although I do hold a pretty strong amount of resentment towards the act that he tried to commit, I don't fully agree with wishing death upon him. Call me naive, but unlike some of the other predators who are vile to the core, I view Urban as someone who lost themselves to addictions. Addictions that drove him to attempt to commit a vile act. If he is able to reform and is no longer a predator, then I commend the TCAP program. Very rarely in the mainstream is it discussed the good that this program brought to the world. Usually what is focused on is the disgusting men that it showcases, the perverted justice decoys' eyebrow-raising tactics, and the controversial suicide that led to the program's end. We never hear about the children that were saved because predators were deterred, or the dangerous men that were taken out of society's circulation and rightfully marked as a danger when released. And we absolutely never hear about the possible predator whose life may have been turned around by the program and is now a contributing member of society